I've known the Batiste family since I was 12 years old. We all grew up in Southwest Atlanta together. Sashu's mother was Miss Westwood in 1975, 76 when I was in the 8th grade. And so I've known her and loved this family ever since I've been aware. So I'm going to turn it over to Attorney Sho Watson, and then this is going to be very quick to the point. Let's go. All right.
All right, thanks. Good morning, everyone. My name is Sho Watson. I'm an attorney at Edmond and Lindsay. Shashu Batiste, the mother of Noni Batiste, hired this firm to investigate the facts and circumstances surrounding Noni Batiste's untimely death on July 11, 2023, while she was jailed at the Atlanta Detention Center. We are holding this press conference to provide information as to what we know, what we don't know currently, and how we intend to proceed. I'm joined today by the firm's managing partner, Dr. Rod Edmond, who will provide an overview of the situation as well as next steps. Also with us, I thought he was here, is Attorney Keith Lindsay, a senior partner of the firm. But finally, we are joined by Shashu Batiste and the Batiste family. Shashu's brother,
Kamani Batiste,
and Noni's godmother, and other family members and friends who are here in support. Shashu will speak. She will speak to you about how she feels, how the family is coping, and what she expects as a result of the answers we are seeking and the accountability that we will demand. After we conclude, we'll open the floor for any questions. So with that, I'll turn it over to Dr. Ed.
All right. My words are going to be very, very brief. I'm just going to speak to the obvious. There's been a spate of, I'll say, issues dealing with Fulton County and how it is that they basically handle people who are incarcerated. I don't know enough information, talk about it, and making allegations in any capacity, but it's an issue that's been in the news. But then it comes near and dear and home to me in that a child who I saw her one time as a baby. I get a call at age 19. She just expired while under the custody of Fulton County. And the only reason that this is a story right now is because this family knows absolutely nothing. She's been dead almost a month now. There's an autopsy that was done. We have not been given the report. There's an investigation, I'm sure, that has been done or is underway. We have not been given any status. The family doesn't know anything about it. And that's why this is still a story. You know, I mean, let's be real. You know, everybody who's born transitions at some point. Most of the time when people die, it's not anybody's fault. But when you have a situation where there's been a history of suspicion, and now that there's a lack of information, that's why we're here. So we filed or sent to Fulton County what's called an anti-litem notice. All that means is that in Georgia, there's a statutory requirement that anytime that you may have a suit against the county, you've got to put them on notice even sooner than what you do in usual cases. There's usually a 2-year statute of limitations, but when you deal with governmental agencies, you've got to put them on notice sooner. So we sent to them yesterday, and so that's kind of basically the paper or the piece of paper that basically warrants this particular press conference. But for you all, what's important is that I want you all to know from a family's perspective who Noni was, who this child was. And the take-home message is that we know nothing. We need to know something. The family needs to know something. And whatever frustration and anger that you hear in the family's voice is because of lack of information. That's pretty much it. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Shashu Batiste, and this is the mother of Noni Batiste Kosoko. Tell us about your child.
Thank you all for being here. Noni Batiste Kosoko, my only daughter. She was premature when she came into this world, and she left prematurely. I am completely beside myself with questions. You know, like Rod said, nobody knows what's happening. I don't understand why it's taking so long to get this information. My daughter wanted to go to college. She wanted to run track. She wanted to dance. She could sing. She could write. She was a wonderful friend. She was there for you if you needed her. And I need her now. And since she's not here, I need answers to why my child is gone.
I think that kind of pretty much sums it up. And you know, before you all answer the question, just to put everything in context, I'm gonna say this: God doesn't pick victims. Noni was 19, young, had her whole life in front of her. She had challenges not unlike most of us. She had a history of mental health disease, which resulted in, minor infractions with the law. I mean, she was in the jail for a misdemeanor, and she was held in jail because of failure to appear for a misdemeanor down in Miami. So, there's an administrative backlog that, just happens to people who really don't have significant means. But that being said, she was 19, she was under the total control and custody of Fulton County, and she was there, wasn't violent, and she's dead, and nobody has told the family anything. That's the issue. So we're open to questions right now. Just so you know, this is the urn. She was cremated, and these are Noni's remains right here next to us.
Mr. Edmond, can you give us a rundown, or whoever wants to speak? Can you give us a rundown of why, I know you said it was a misdemeanor, right? Can you give us a rundown of what exactly it was? You just said it was failure to appear, but why was she there for so long?
Yeah, once again, I just mentioned this to you, and this isn't uncommon. When you deal with the, with the justice system, there are a whole lot of just administrative snafus. I mean, she was there on a misdemeanor, but for the failure to appear on a misdemeanor down in Miami, she would have been out of jail already. But it happens, and it takes time, and it's an administrative process, and that's our understanding. It was just an administrative issue, whether or not they were going to release her, or they're going to try to send her back to Miami for the failure to appear for another misdemeanor, and it just got kind of caught up in the wash.
How long was she there for?
A month and a half.
A month and a half. Did Ms. Batiste, were you able to see her while she was there for a month and a half?
No, I actually came to Atlanta to go up in person because I haven't been able to get any answers over the phone. I've been calling and it's just, with no avail. So I came here and found out once I arrived.
Ms. Batiste, I don't know if you know the Department of Justice, they're investigating Fulton County on how they're treating their inmates, specifically those who have a history with mental illness. Can you speak a little bit to your daughter's history and the importance of, if someone is incarcerated and they have a history of mental illness, what needs to change?
Yeah, I'm gonna basically just step in on that one. I mean, I don't want her getting into the details of her daughter's past psychological history. Just trust and believe it was not, it was not crazy, it wasn't violent, okay? And in terms of what she expects out of Fulton County, obviously she's not a mental health expert in corrections. To the contrary, I am. I was a medical director at DeKalb County Jail for 5 years, and I know what's expected. And let's just call a spade a spade. I mean, we all live in America, okay? I can just tell you what I saw after working there for 5 years. 90% of the people in jail, they have some degree of mental health disease. There's a correlation basically violating laws and mental health. And so mental health in a jail system is very, very, very important. And what's going on in Fulton County, I can't comment on that because I don't know. I know exactly what you know. There's an investigation.
Can we talk about the misdemeanor in that context? My understanding is that she was stopped, and then when they did a background, they realized the warrant was out. Can we talk about that purpose?
I think you pretty much stated everything that we know.
Okay.
There's no more context to it. I mean, we want information on that too.
And I know also that after being arrested, there was a time period where she was unable to be found normally there's a process where they get a call and things like that occur. Did the police give her an opportunity to contact family members and at least say that she was in jail?
We don't know anything about that right now. Again, as Dr. Evans stated earlier, these are the questions that we are attempting to find answers to. And so once we get that information, we'll pass that on as appropriate.
And I know, one more, sorry. I know it was previously said, but per your understanding, this was a healthy individual that entered a jail and then didn't leave.
That's a true statement.
Correct.
Yes. Physically, there was nothing wrong with my daughter, to my knowledge, since when I last saw her. So I'm just confused, how a 19-year-old, dies in jail.
Ms. Session, when was the last time you saw your daughter and where? And then the other question I have is, do we know the lead or people who are charged with investigating on the jail side?
I'll answer the last question, but go ahead. When's the last time you saw her and talked to her?
It was right before she got arrested, so it was, the beginning of May. It was literally right before she got arrested in May, so.
And you reside in Florida?
Yes.
Ms. Batista, I'm so sorry for your family's loss. Can you talk a little bit more about your daughter, where she grew up, where she went to school, her interest? You're from Florida, but I got
Well, no, we all grew up here.
Okay.
She went to Clifton Elementary. She won a talent show there. She was just really talented. She loved to write. She was a poet. She could sing. She could dance. She was really great with her younger cousins. They looked up to her a lot, and it was, she will be greatly missed. Like, her absence is truly felt throughout the family.
And the high school she went to?
She went to a couple different high schools, but she was at McNair Middle. I'm sorry.
Langston Hughes?
Yes, I'm sorry. Yeah, she was at Langston Hughes for a while.
And did she have
and-
a family of her own? Was she married?
No. She just turned 19
Yeah.
July 5th and died on the 11th. So no,
kids?
no kids, no
Yeah.
family besides us.
And her birthday happened while in custody?
Yes.
Ms. Batiste, do you know if you can answer for us? You found out by phone call, I'm assuming, right?
Yes.
That she had passed, right? Did they tell you how long she had died, how long she had, been dead before contacting you? And what did they exactly say on the phone?
Well, it was actually my brother who informed me, but we don't have any information at that point. Even till now, I still don't know. I know what's been reported as well.
And our understanding is that the grandmother on the father's side is the one who was contacted by Fulton County officials.
And what was said on the phone? I'm just trying to understand.
We don't have that information right now.
And can I follow up on an earlier question? Could you specify what diagnosis she had for her mental health?
Well, when she was younger, she was diagnosed with psychosis.
And who might be investigating on the jail side?
The only thing we know is that there's a Department of Justice investigation that's just general, and that's all we know. Again, we have not basically done a deep dive on the research on that, because for us, this isn't the issue. The issue is what happened to Noni.
Yes.
All right, all that other stuff, it may have affected her, we don't know. But right now, they don't even know the cause of death. There's an autopsy that has that information. We don't know the circumstances. We don't know who was there, who watched her, what she complained of before. We don't know anything. And that's the frustrating part about it, is that this family, they deserve answers sooner than later.
You mentioned you worked with the Fulton County. What's normal procedure in issues like this, or in other cases you've covered? How quickly do they normally disclose this information? Is this abnormal?
You say abnormal, I'm gonna say no, it's not abnormal. You know, I mean, when people who are in custody die under suspicious circumstances, it's been my experience that the administrators kind of string it out. That's just what I've experienced. Okay, and when I say string it out, I've seen situations where the information was available, and for whatever reason, they just say the situation is under investigation. By Georgia law, as long as the situation is under investigation, the people who are in control of the information have no obligation or duty to disseminate the information. And that's been my experience, generally. I'll be candid with you. I think Fulton County, in my experience, has been very, very transparent. They've been very forthcoming in previous cases of giving information. I love this family. I've known this family. It's been almost 30 days, and they know nothing. That's why we're here.
Dr. Eben and Ms. Batiste, I want to follow up on another question from earlier. There's been an announcement by the Justice Department of a civil rights investigation of the Fulton County Jail, which is operated by the Fulton County Sheriff's Office.
Mhm.
Your daughter was in the custody of the Fulton County Sheriff's Office. Has the Justice Department told you that they're investigating your daughter's death?
No, I haven't heard anything from the Justice Department.
Dr. Eben, can we assume that maybe that's within their investigation, Noni's death?
I would assume that any mysterious deaths while people are under the custody and control of Fulton County are going to be part of the investigation.
Even though there's a distinction between the Atlanta City Detention Center and the Fulton County Jail, that it's within their investigation.
Now you're getting above my pay grade.
Right.
Because that's a contract between the city of Atlanta and Fulton County. And I mean, let's just talk common sense. The jail is owned by the city of Atlanta.
Yeah.
I don't know what agreement they made about who's responsible for basically monitoring and, you know, keeping things right at the city jail. We just don't know. So yeah, the bottom line is that Noni was not responsible for her custody. Okay? And we don't know anything.
And can you specify what the charge was out of Miami-Dade County and why she was arrested in Union City that precipitated all of this? These were minor offenses, you said, but do you know what they were?
I don't. And I'm going to say this. I apologize because seeing y'all, I should have gone and scratched the surface, but I don't. But I'm sure this information is readily available if you just scratch the surface also. And again, I'm not avoiding anything, but I unfortunately didn't do that dig. Okay. I'm trying to take care of this family.
Ms. Batiste, can you talk about how you and your family are coping?
Honestly, I'm not doing very well, obviously, just because I don't know what's going on still, and it's hard enough to lose a child or a loved one, but I've recently discovered that it is different when you lost a child, just in general. But this is my brother, and, you know, it's been devastating for our family.
Do you remember what you said last to her? Were you able to talk with her on the phone while she was?
Yes, I mean, I spoke with her, and, you know, I just told her to hang in there. You're going to get through this process. They're going to bring you back to Miami, and, you know, you can do this. You know, we're going to full steam ahead when you get out. And, you know, she just kept saying, okay, I love you, Mommy, and, you know, thinking that we were going to see each other again. So it was particularly difficult.
Ms. Batiste, can you talk about the difficulty of looking after taking care of a loved one with a mental health diagnosis?
Ooh. I mean, I just feel that in general it's hard to raise a child, so navigating all of this has been really hard, and I'm just trying to get through it.
Okay. Any further questions?
When you spoke to her on the phone, did she indicate that anything was wrong, that she wasn't feeling well, or maybe she was in danger? Did
No.
she say she could care for it?
No. I told her, you know, you're gonna get out. It's not like you killed anybody. You're gonna get out. Just stick in there, you know. it'll work out. Just, I'm here, we love you, we have a plan for you, but it was never, she didn't indicate to me that, anything was wrong with her, or she, I don't know.
What day was that?
I'm not exactly sure the date.
You don't remember,
I don't remember because, there's just been so much going on. I couldn't give you an exact date.
Well, can you say if she passed away on the 11th of July? Do you know if you spoke to her like a day before or a few
No,
days
no,
before?
no. Last time it was like maybe a couple weeks before.
A couple weeks before.
Yeah.